Well, let's bring you some reaction to the Mkhize issue now. Joining us on ENC, a political scientist and regular guest, Professor Dirk Kotze. Professor, morning to you. First reaction from you, if you don't mind, when you heard that the Health Minister has been placed on special leave, and two, as part of your first answer, the Tourism Minister being ushered in to now look after the country and the vaccine rollout.
Yes, I think it wasn't so much of a surprise because Minister Mkhize a little bit earlier yesterday in the Northern Cape already spoke about it and explained how he discussed it with the President. So it appeared to be in the pipeline. It removed the other options that he would resign or that he had to step back or step aside. So I think, but it still remains, the timing of it was, I think, a surprise, the fact that it happened so quickly. After his discussions, which appear to be still sort of ongoing. So I think in that sense, yes, it was certainly a surprise. The acting minister of tourism, she has been in three positions, in three portfolios since 2017 when she was the first time appointed as a minister. She was in energy, in communications, science and technology, tourism now, and now also in health. So it means that she has some versatility, that she can adapt to positions and can manage it. I think that the common denominator in all of that is she is possibly regarded as a good manager, not necessarily a specialist in her field. And I think what we are going to see now is that the Deputy Minister, Dr. Joe Pathlo, that he will become more of a key person behind the scenes, not necessarily in public. And then that the senior officials in the department. And then what should not be forgotten about is the fact that a lot of the work about the vaccination and about the pandemic in general is actually done by the MECs in the provinces, the MECs for health. So the work on the ground, to a large extent, will not be necessarily affected. But where the gap or the vacuum will emerge will be in the form of the overall leadership.
Mm-hmm. A couple of the opposition parties, Doctor, and it's no real surprise when we hear these calls from opposition parties for the health minister to actually step down completely, not be placed on special leave, not step aside, but actually step down from his position. From a political standpoint and also from the standpoint of the rollout and the management of COVID-19, do you suspect that is something the President or the ANC would ever consider?
Well, that is certainly one of the options, but I think what we are all going to wait for, because that is explicitly what President Ramaphosa said now, is the report of the SIU, the Special Investigative Unit. Once that has happened, and depending obviously on their conclusion, I think the next possibility will be then of that he will be removed from his position. And in whatever words being used, whether it is stepping aside, stepping down, or resigning. But the total effect will be that he will not be in his position ultimately. And it will be managed by the ANC in such a way that it's not seen as an affront to him or as something which is highly critical of his position, because he plays a very important role within the ANC. And I think there's a lot of caution, especially on the side of President Ramaphosa, that he does not want to alienate senior persons in the ANC at the moment. And for that reason, I think he will use the approach that he's using actually for a long time now already, and that is what I call an indirect approach. Mm-hmm. And that is for other institutions like commissions of inquiry on the Public Investment Corporation, on SARS, the Special Investigative Unit for his spokesperson, former spokesperson, to do the work and to come to a conclusion. And then on the basis of that, he takes his decision.
Last question to you, Prof, perhaps in the last 30 seconds I have with you. The SIU, I understand, last week saying, if I remember the report, 63 government officials had so far been handed over for prosecution, all to do with coronavirus funds mishandling, various issues around COVID-19 funds, tenders, etc. Where does this leave the President as far as his decision-making of people he's put into place to handle these issues, knowing we're now going into local government elections this year? How bad does this look for the president, is essentially what I'm asking.
I think there are two sides to it. For President Ramaphosa, the fact that he's acting against it, actually I think counts in his favor. The fact that there are so many persons implicated in it, I think is problematic for him. But what we are seeing, which is sort of in their favor for the ANC, is that despite all of this, the by-election outcomes were in general actually quite in favor of the ANC. So they are not paying a heavy price at the moment with the voters and in by-elections.
Professor, it's always a pleasure having you with us. Political scientist, Professor Dirk Kotze from UNISA, joining us on ENCA.